Darnell Jamar Leslie, that's my bad. Thank you for joining us today and for sharing a little bit about your story, sharing your career day to day, and really giving us a little bit of insight on how you work as a professional slash entrepreneur slash digital creator. Sam, do you mind taking us over to the next slide? All right. So a little bit about you. You are an IT and real estate professional, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so thank you guys for having me. Pleasure to be here. Hopefully you guys find this video well and can tune in and learn something from today. But a little bit about me, like Muka mentioned, my name is Darnell. I work 9 to 5 in IT as a project manager with the State Department. So I go and I build applications with a team of developers and testers on our Microsoft platform. And then my side job that I have, or I guess you can say a hobby of mine and a passion project, is I invest in real estate as well. I'm an active real estate investor. I buy and hold properties long term, as long term and short term rentals. I also fix and flip properties, meaning I take properties that are really run down and look really in bad shape that nobody wants to live in. I add value to them, meaning I renovate them and get them nice and new, and then I sell them on the open market. And I also have wholesaled properties in the past, which is where you buy a property, again, that's really run down, in bad shape, and you pass it to an interested buyer who wants to do the renovations themselves. So pretty much I'll play the middleman. So I buy and hold, I fix and flip, and I wholesale real estate. So that's me. I got my hands full, and my days feel like they never end, but I love it, so it's always fulfilling.
It looks like you have a really good eye for finding opportunity, and it looks like you have a really good eye for aligning your natural talents with what you do professionally. So can you share just a little bit about how you got into IT, where that interest came from, how you cultivated all that?
Yeah, sure. So I got into IT by studying software engineering in school. So I went to Quince Orchard High School. Had really no aspirations or dreams of going to college. My whole idea was going to be joining the military and going to the military, and that was about it, and letting the wind take me from there. But I had an opportunity to play football, so I went to college and played football for a little bit and graduated with my major in software engineering with a minor in computer science. So software engineering was more of the project management aspect of IT and how to develop a project from start to end, look at all the risks, look at all the stakeholders and people that were interested in the project, and determine financing and budgeting for the project. And computer science was more of the hands-on development and coding of the actual applications. So I mixed the two together, got my degree in software engineering, minor in computer science, and then played ball for a little bit, and I retired after COVID. And I got a few, what are they called, certifications.
Yeah.
So I could dust off the rust a little bit and get back into IT. So I got some certifications and got my first IT job back in 2020.
Nice. Okay, so you dusted off the rust a little bit. Have you always been good at computers? Has that always come naturally to you, or is that a skill that you had to build up a bit?
I always liked breaking things as a kid. And for me, computers was like, you can kind of break them, but then there's ways to fix them without breaking the actual hardware. So I didn't really like computers growing up. I always liked using my hands and building things and breaking things and making things look nice and cool. So again, going back to college, I was never driven toward IT at all. I didn't even think I was going to go to college. I wanted to join the military. So for me, getting into school and seeing, well, okay, now you're at school, what do you want to do? IT was like one of the first things I drew an attraction to because my dad worked in IT my entire life, so I knew of what IT was and the benefits of it, especially being in the DMV area. So naturally, that's kind of what I went toward. I didn't like the hands-on development side because I didn't like coding and program languages, so I wanted to go the more project management side and do more of the high-level executive type stuff. So didn't really have an eye for IT until I got to college, but it panned out well and I like it.
Right. I see that you were able to look at the entire, well, maybe not the entire, but you were able to look at the breadth of the IT industry and find what naturally made sense for you, for the way that your brain works and for the way that you like to move professionally.
Yep.
And something interesting that I caught before we move on to the next slide, you said that you like making things look cool and making things look awesome, which is essentially what you do as a real estate investor, redeveloper. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because obviously I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, I like to make things look better than the way I left them. So real estate, my main thing in real estate is buying and holding properties, but I get the capital to buy and hold those properties by fixing and flipping properties.
Okay.
So I'll find a really rundown house that nobody wants to live in. You know, the roof is falling off, there's no windows on it, the front door is kicked in, or the bushes outside are just overgrown and the house looks disgusting from the outside. And I'll bring my crew in there and we'll renovate the property and make it brand new. We'll put in a new kitchen, we'll build brand new bathrooms, we'll put in new flooring, carpet, LVP flooring, we'll paint the entire house, make it look brand new. And to me, that's so fulfilling because I'm now able to deliver that property to a deserving family who wants to cherish that house for the next 30, 40 years, right? So for me, IT was kind of the same thing where you can take an application or a thought from scratch, have your team and develop the project and the application with your team to build something that's now brand new and that can be of use to somebody in the end. So they kind of tie hand in hand.
I see. It's cool to learn that you can take your passion, or it's cool to see that you can take your passion and something that you're naturally attuned to, and you can use that to help other people, but you can also use that to help yourself.
Yeah.
Okay? First things first.
100%.
Next slide, Sam, please. All right. So a little bit of critical thinking around you as a professional that uses digital tools and skills and social media specifically to just kind of help you do what you do. Let's run through these questions a little bit, right? How has self-promotion on social media helped you in your personal growth and development? And the reason we're starting there is I've seen you grow through and own the different parts of your story and the different transitions in your story. Just like you said, you know, changing and switching from going to the Army to then playing football to then being in IT to now being all inclusive with real estate as well. Mm-hmm. You've been able to share that confidently in the different spaces where you meet your stakeholders, clients, and collaborators. What has that process been like for you since you started on TikTok, or even before then? What was it like when you posted your first football photo, maybe to like now? What has that been like for you?
It's been I'll say a journey in a sense. Like looking back at college, I would always obviously work out because I played football. And that's when I really started to post on social media because it was 2012, 2013. So Instagram had just came out. It was this new platform you can only post photos on. And then like 2013, 14, you could post videos. Mm-hmm. So throughout the evolution of social media, I was also still posting content at a very less aware point. And I say that because I would work out with my coaches and they would post photos and videos of us in the weight room working out and doing our reps and sets and things like that. And to me, that was just like, all right, well, I'm just posting workout videos. Like it's nothing too high level. Yeah. And seeing how like social media has transformed into more getting into the insights and the views and the likes and the timing aspect of how long you can post a video for, I found myself being more intentional about what I'm putting out there, specifically on the real estate side, because there's people in my community and in my demographic that I understand that want to learn more about what real estate is and the value that it can bring to not only themselves but to the people around them. So for me, it's been, you know, really organic in the sense to where you just post what you do, right? So I'm not at this point overthinking what I'm putting out there. I'm being more conscious of being intentional about putting things out as opposed to what exactly I'm putting out there, because my day-to-day is pretty much in depth itself in terms of I'm a real estate investor. So everything that I do real estate related, I have content about real estate. So I just post that stuff out there. I'm not thinking too deep about it because everything I'm doing is just, I'll say, organic in a sense. So again, to see like the transformation of real estate, social media going from it being this very boxed thing of which you can post to now it being dramatic, I'm now able to post more in an organic state where I'm not overthinking it, if that makes sense.
It totally does make sense. And it ties into what we've been trying to share with the cohort as far as lifestyle content creation and organic content creation, to where social media can be a place that you're able to see a reflective place of your growth, whether it's professional, whether it's personal. And to be able to have kind of a timeline that shows you your personal and your professional progress, it's something that we try to always share with the cohort.
100%.
One thing that I love, you talked about not overthinking things, and you talked about posting intentionally in a way that communicates and shares what you do, but also in a way that helps people understand. So how has that specific part of it, and you talked a little bit about how your day-to-day as a real estate investor is really just how you put content out there, but can you dig in a little bit more and tell us your thought process behind that, what you consider worth showing versus not showing, how you kind of get over the nerves of, should I even post this today? I don't feel great about posting today, but we need to get into the posting thing because it's got to get done, right?
For sure.
So how does that work for you?
Yeah, good question. I think, again, for me, it's all just the background scenes behind it. Like, you'll see a lot of social media influencers and even real estate investors post, I made X amount of money doing this, I made X amount of money doing that. And the highlight reel on social media is real. Like, a lot of people will just post their highlights. If you look at my page, you'll see how I've lost money in real estate. You'll see the challenges that I face in real estate. You'll see the issues that I'm running into in real estate. You'll see my headaches. You'll see everything from the highs and the lows on my page. And I think that's the best type of content to post, because you're being as transparent as you can and authentic with your audience, because that's where people learn. They learn from your mistakes, not just your highlights. More so from your mistakes than your highlights. And so for me, I try to post and be conscious of posting things that are just organic, again, in a sense where if I'm having an issue with a contractor, I'm going to post about it and talk to you guys about the issues and things and red flags you need to look for when you're talking to contractors.
Right.
If it's a great day and, you know, my crew just crushed this flip and we just sold it for X amount of profit, I'm going to talk about that because this is a win that we had that makes sense, and hopefully the transparency and the in-depth numbers that I'm going through can help you now think about what your potential could be in real estate as well. So I post really the entire broad spectrum, and I think that that's the best and the easiest way to post, because again, I'm not overthinking about what I'm putting out there. I'm just showing you guys the day-to-day, the good, the bad, the highs, the lows, the sunny and the gloomy days, right, and everything in between. And then from there, it's really just if it makes sense to my audience, right? So in a sense, my audience are the newer beginner real estate investors who have no idea of where to even look for a property. Those are the people that I want to impact. Those are the people that I want to talk to most, because that was me 2 years ago, right? But that's really the easiest point to get into real estate, is the easiest 101 level type questions. And I love answering those type of questions because it's what I do on a daily basis. So I don't think for me, I'll ever get to a point to where I'm going to be too high and not want to answer a beginner's questions, because one, that was me, but two, that's how somebody gets started. And if I can shine any light on that and, you know, open a gate for somebody to want to dive in deeper, I will.
Right. And you've already touched a little bit on how sharing your story has impacted your confidence, but I just want to like dig into that one a little bit, because you talked about openness and transparency, and you talked about vulnerability. That is not very easy, I think, for everyone to just start doing outright. I know it's definitely taken me a little bit of time to be completely open about certain things, but how can you build that muscle? Do you have any advice to building that muscle to where you're not judging the good and the bad or the sunny and the gray, but you're just looking at it, like you said, as steps to the process, and you're able to show that growth? Do you have any sound bites, any affirmations, anything that we should be chewing on?
Yeah, I mean, so building confidence, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to know who you are, right? And it's so cliche, but like, you have to know who you are and claim who you are, right? Like, we're all different. We're all made in a unique shape with a unique skill and talent. And when you are comfortable in your own skin, you'll be able to put out stuff and not care what the people following you will think, because at the end of the day, this is your account. And hopefully you're putting out stuff that means as much to you as it does to whoever's following you and getting value from that information. Everybody that follows me on my social media page, I'm sure they don't agree with everything that I post. I'm sure they don't even like the stuff that I post, and I'm sure that they don't even watch half the stuff that I do post. But it's not for them if that's the case. It's for the people that do grasp onto that content and find value from it and are able to actually grow in a real estate sense.
Right.
Right? So it's for the one person that can impact out of all the followers that I do have. It's not for the amount that don't find value from it. And I'm okay with that approach because I'm comfortable here.
Yeah.
Right? I wake up every morning, I have a set routine, I know exactly what my day is supposed to be like each and every day. So for me, I get my mind right and my body right each and every day to go forth and now help people as much as I can. So again, if somebody doesn't like when I'm posting or it offends them, that's really on them. I'm not out there to put out any bad or misaligned content, but
Right.
at the end of the day, it's my page. I'm going to post what I want to post because I know the value that I'm bringing from it.
Right.
In a sense, right? So it's just, again, knowing you, understanding you, and authentically loving you and
Right.
posting what you want to post.
Ms. Dion, that has been the focus of most of our lessons, or at least how we've been starting a lot of our professional development lessons. We've been working on our resumes through this cohort on LinkedIn and on Indeed. And before we even got onto those platforms, we really wanted to help the students isolate their experiences and their story without a good or bad lens and just looking at it from a holistic standpoint.
Yeah.
And we very intentionally are trying to instill the body, mind, spirit of it all and the central confidence of it all. So thank you so much for touching on that, because it is important for our students, regardless of their past experiences, to really be able to own negative, positive, and all of the in-betweens, because I think it does create that sound building block.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Next slide, please, Sam. I'm excited for this one, but I think we've ran through some of these already. But I will double down specifically because we just started kind of with the mind, body, spirit of it all. So I'll start with brand awareness and visibility. And what actions, habits, and values does your brand represent, and are you recognized for? Off the top of my head, I would say I know you, Darnell, because of your spirituality, because of your consistency, and because of your work ethic. Those are like the three main things that I would claim to know of you without using any of my background historical context about who you are. Do you agree that that is also the way that the greater community perceives you? And is that the perception that you want?
Yeah, I mean, and that goes, so you asked this question and that's spot on. And that goes to how would I describe a personal brand, right?
Yeah.
So your brand is really how people perceive you.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter, it matters how you think about yourself, but at the end of the day, your brand is your reputation,
Yeah.
right? And so everything that Muka mentioned, that's how I would view myself from the outside in, or how I would like to view myself from the outside in. And I'm glad that she's able to see that because that is kind of my brand, right? So I would agree. I think it's definitely built around the type of content you put out there, the things you speak on, your conviction behind the things you speak on, and really how you carry out your life and how you walk the walk and talk the talk. So it's spot on. Yeah.
Absolutely. I like how you talk the talk and walk the walk of it all. And just a little bit about how, where, and when individuals see or consume your brand. I see you out in the world, going to networking events, doing your whole 9-to-5 work thing, going out into the world when you're talking to contractors, talking to different people who work in the home development space. How much control do you have over your brand's visibility? And do you boost at all? Do you retract at all? What is your strategy in putting yourself out there versus trying to control that in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, for me, it's just being around people and like getting around the table, getting a seat at the table, I like to say, because like as a brand, as a business owner, as somebody that wants to get involved and to do bigger and better than what I'm doing now in a sense, you've got to get around people that are doing those things, thinking those thoughts, having those conversations. So for me, getting my brand, myself and my business around the table of where other real estate investors are, who are doing commercial deals, who are doing ground up development deals, who are doing syndication type deals, I have to be there because I have to have them see Darnell is somebody that can be a thought leader in this industry. Darnell is somebody that I can trust and rely on when I have a deal come to the table. Darnell is somebody that I can trust and rely on who has a resource that I could probably use, right? So for me, your brand should be very intentional in the sense that you're getting around other people that have brands and that have thoughts and that have influence in the community of what you're trying to do. So again, going to meetup events, I try to go to one at least twice a month if I can. But if not, I'm staying in touch and I'm leaving comments and DMs on people's pages that are doing the things that I want to do.
Yeah.
Right? I'm getting in front of them. I'm getting a seat at their table, right? Making sure that they can see Darnell as some sort of thought leader and value add component to their business. So
Right.
that's it.
I think thought leadership comes with a sense of confidence. It comes with a sense of knowing what you want to put out there, not necessarily being confident in the full breadth of knowledge that you might have, but in just having an urge. And you said when certain people are in the room, you have to be there. And I want to talk about in a healthy way before we get to the community perception question, because that one's important. This is kind of like a segue. In a healthy way, how do you control that desire and how do you control that urge? I'm asking specifically because we have an age group of about 16 to 22. And these are individuals who are maneuvering in a better way around big feelings like desires and urges and anxieties and nervousness. They're not as volatile as an adolescent when it comes to emotional regulation, but they're still on a learning curve in this feels so big to me. How do I manage that anxiety and transmute it into a sense of excitement? How do I manage that desire and push forth a sense of like delayed gratification to help me get there? How do I manage the steps, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, no, that's big.
Because I'm still working on it.
Yeah, and that's a hard one, right? That's a really hard one.
Yeah.
When you're not seeing any results, but you continue to do the work, how do you persist?
Yeah.
That's real and that's hard. And that does come with anxiety and depression and all of the other mental roadblocks that we face when you're not seeing yourself get to where you want to be, or you're afraid of getting to those places because of whatever internal roadblocks that we place on ourselves.
Yeah.
I'll say to that, you got to chop wood and carry water, right? I love that phrase. There's a book called Chop Wood, Carry Water, and it's by Joseph Metcalf. If you guys have that resource to find that book, find it. It's on audiobook. But that book pretty much talks about the ideas of how to persist when you're seeing no result. The idea of how to fall in love with the process of building a great life, right? And part of that is just consistency. How often can you wake up and do the same mundane tasks that seem boring, that they're not doing anything for you in your life? You're not seeing any results. You're posting on every day on social media, but you're not getting the views that you want, or you're not getting the likes that you want, or you're not getting the growth that you want from followers, whatever the case may be. How consistently can you post and do those things in spite of not seeing the result, right? But in understanding that will get you to the next level. So it's real. I mean, for me, that's the name of the game. It's just consistency. Like, I wake up every day, have the same routine. It's pretty boring and mundane, but again, at the end of the day, it's been working. And I see success in my own personal life. And I understand that this is a volume game. Social media is not like you make one post and now you're viral and now you're famous and now you're retired. That's not social media, right? Like, you have to consistently do the things. So in tech talk, the algorithm can pick you up, right?
And we've tried to share this multiple times as far as the consistency of sharing. You want to, how do I put this in like the easiest terms without this IT man over here making complete fun of me? You want to push the algorithm a little bit, or gather enough momentum that it starts to show your content in certain different spaces. And so consistency and remaining, I guess, true to a certain level of content output helps with that.
But I'll also say though, like, being consistent but not caring about the vanity metrics. So I mentioned likes, shares, views, and followers. Like, I don't care about any of that stuff. Again, I'm making content for the select few that can actually use it and apply it and buy their first property. So if the algorithm picks it up and I get it 2 million views, great. If not, I'm still going to post tomorrow. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter to me. If I get 1,000 comments or one, I don't care.
Right.
Right? It's about me falling in love with the process of being a real estate investor who just creates content and being consistent with it. And if it gets
Right.
picked up, it does. And if not, then I'm going to keep going, because at the end of the day, I'm here to impact people, not
Right.
to be social media famous, I'll
Yes.
say.
I want to touch a little bit about vanity metrics versus KPIs. So vanity metrics are what Darnell described: likes, comments, shares, the visible engagement of what looks like an aggregated community. Emphasis on what looks like an aggregated community, because those can be robotic measures. What Darnell is more so focused on are KPIs, key performance indicators. These can be things like conversion metrics. How many people, after they view his video, not like it, not make a comment, because we can also track impressions and views. After they view it, how many clicks is he getting to his website? How many conversions are going to his link tree? After they hit his link tree, who's going to the YouTube versus the Instagram versus the TikTok versus whatever other booking platforms he's got? So that's where we're talking about intentional posting and being mindful of the kind of response that you want. You could want vanity metrics, and that is perfectly okay. But for the different measures that you want to bring into your business, you just want to be mindful of whether those vanity metrics fall within a KPI or whether it's just a vanity metric that doesn't necessarily push you to anything.
Yeah.
The last part, community collaborators, clients, and all of that good stuff, as far as perception is concerned, and the last part for this slide. Previously, as you were talking, you mentioned that you would like for people to perceive you as, a thought leader, as responsible, as consistent, all of these things, which to a certain extent, if not the full extent, I personally believe that these things are visible. Potentially, if there were any quote unquote black holes, or if there were any gray areas for where this perception might not necessarily land, do you have any strategies to help people learn you and how you want them to get to know you?
Post on it. Simply
Yeah.
said, like, just, you got to post. Like,
I'm glad you said that.
you've got to
It
just,
ties into the lesson.
you've got to, like, you've got to post. Like, people trust what they see. I was talking to my college football team like a month ago, and I was telling the guy, like, you have to, if you want to be known for this type of person and to have this type of lifestyle, to be this image of a person that you want to come off as, people trust what they can see. So if I tell you, and I stand here today, hey guys, I played volleyball for 18 years, you guys probably wouldn't believe that. If you look at my page, you wouldn't believe that, because nothing's on there. But if I tell you guys I'm an IT professional, I'm a real estate investor, and I'm a man of God, and you look at my page, you'll see all those things, because that's what I post about. Those are the things that I talk about, right? So in a sense, you have to just post what you're going through on your day-to-day life and be transparent with who you are, because that's how people will perceive you.
Right.
People trust what they can see. So whether you're selling them something or you're teaching them something, if you're not doing it on a consistent basis and you have no proof to back it up, your proof being your posts and your content, nobody will believe you. So you've got to post if that's what the image that you're trying to portray. Post about it, but also live it. Don't just be out there posting snippets and stuff that don't make sense, but like, that has to be your consistent theme to your page, to what you're putting out.
Thank you for sharing that. In exciting, or even if it doesn't seem viral, but having the space to be able to say, I woke up today, I came to class, I had et cetera, did this, and it was a successful day. We're going to run it back again tomorrow, because we're going towards something, or we're working towards something. In this particular case, graduation and post-graduation. We all want to have entry-level jobs, and we all want to make sure we're making money with this, right? So consistency.
I'll say to that, Muka, there's a guy on Instagram that I follow. He's got
Names, please.
I don't know, I'll have to send you his name. I don't know it off the top of my head, but the dude makes content about him getting ready for work every single day.
Yeah.
He literally sets up his tripod. He'll take out his laptop, put his laptop in his backpack, go make his breakfast, make his coffee. It's just content of him going to work each and every day. And as he's driving in the car, he has like a mental thought that he gives his audience. Don't rush to leave your 9-to-5 job, to be an entrepreneur. And, you know, he just has ways to build in motivation into his day-to-day stuff. Yeah. And his videos always end with him taking his laptop out in his cubicle at his office. He sits down and he presses stop on the video. And that's it. His day-to-day, him going to work each and every day. So to people in this audience that are, you said 16 to 22, there's so many things that I wish I recorded on a daily basis.
Right?
That I would have been like the next Mr. Beast if I had done that. Right? I went to Chipotle each and every day after high school.
That's a fact. He really did. Every single day after high school.
I would have had a Chipotle like a Chipotle endorsement or something like that, because
we'll put that
just
on the list for him.
Organically posting what you guys do is, it may seem boring and like makes no sense to somebody out to yourself, but to people out there, people actually like find weird and niche stuff cool.
That is a fact.
If you go to the same coffee shop after school every day or a donut shop after school every day, like somebody might find that pretty cool. So again, it just comes down to just being authentically you and posting what your day-to-day is. I think those are some of the best videos that I've seen, is just people's day-to-day. What I eat throughout the day, what I wear every single day. Like get ready with me videos, those are cool.
Those are my favorite.
Like you would have never thought. I don't care how you get ready for work, but that's cool. I want to see what kind of shoes you put on. How do you come up with this outfit?
I want to see how you go from waking up to making your bed, going through the process of working out there.
Yeah.
Because maybe it's something that'll work for me. Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, Sam, can we go to the next one, which I believe, yes, has some playmakers' philosophies. We're going to start from the bottom up because you talked about this one. Chop wood and carry water daily. This particular slide is a link to 3 posts on your Instagram page. And I picked these specifically because I think they best summarize everything that you have spoken to us on today. And I would just love to, let's see if we will go to where we need to go. Wonderful.
Nice.
Where is the sound? Okay, over here.
Skill that you're going through, and
Let's restart that.
when you understand that you're knee deep in whatever trade, skill, that you're going through, and you can persist on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis, and consistently chop wood and carry water, right? Consistently become 1% better each and every day by being consistent, doing the little shit right, being diligent, and doing the mundane tasks that seem annoying and they could not get you anywhere, but those tasks in the long run are getting you 1% better every single day. I think that's one thing I would look for. It's just how consistent are you? Can you show up even when the job doesn't look fun? Can you show up even when you're getting bad numbers and results? Can you show up even when your project is failing? Can you show up even when nobody's hitting you back from deals, buyers and sellers aren't calling you back? Can you consistently call these people? Can you consistently make these moves that'll help you become 1% better each and every day? Consistency, man. When you understand.
My favorite about this particular, or that particular video, was the getting 1% better every day. Can you just like a little bit about that? Because I get lost in the, if it's not perfect today, then it's not done, or we can't keep doing it, or oh my God. But let's talk about that 1% better everyday philosophy, because I think it's helped me already in this moment. How can that help other people just push, literally just push a little bit more?
Yeah. So Chop Wood Carry Water is a book by Joseph Metcalf. And that ties to another book that I read maybe about 2 years ago called Atomic Habits by James Clear, right? And so in the book, James Clear talks about, again, doing your routine, having your routine set in place to where you consistently do this routine on a daily basis. And there's been studies that have shown that if you consistently do a habit over a certain amount of time, you become 1% better each and every day. And after a year, you become 37 times better at that task than the first day you did it. So you can imagine if you do 1 push-up each and every day, at some point, you'll be doing 2, 3, 4, 5, and you'll be up to 50 push-ups a day. And now you've become 1% better over time, or over each day, to 37% over the year, right? So that's just like a one wild example, but 1% better to me is huge because it just, again, goes back to being consistent and understanding that things don't have to be perfect on a daily basis, but I'm making action. I'm doing something toward this goal, moving the needle in the right direction every single day.
Right.
And that's the 1% increase.
They used to say progress or what practice makes perfect, but I've learned this new statement that's been adopted where it says practice makes permanent or practice builds progress. And I think that's a little bit more comfortable in consuming that.
100%. That's it.
We're going to not skip the middle, but because I think we've touched somewhat through our general conversation about that, I want to go to this one. It feels relevant.
Media is like a double-edged sword. There's a lot of negatives that can come out of social media if you use it in the wrong way and if you consume it in the wrong way, right? Like I was telling my group upstairs, people only trust what they can see.
Yep.
Just straight up. Like if you've never seen a McDonald's logo, you would never go to McDonald's. We see it, so we trust it, so we go there. With every brand and company that you know. So if you're trying to get into a space where you're doing secured, cleared work, social media might not be the place where you want to be posting all your business and behind the scenes information and things like that. I will also say on the other side of that, if you are in a position where you're trying to build a business and you're being an entrepreneur and you're trying to fundraise and raise capital and build your business with networking, social media is the golden place to go because of the network that you can reach and the amount of people that you can impact. I think social media is like a double-edged sword. There's a lot of negatives that can come out of social media.
One of the things that I've noticed for a lot of the students is a major distrust for social media. And it completely, totally makes sense. Not just a major distrust, but a major dislike of some of the content that they're seeing out there. And they just don't want to participate. They don't want to consume and they don't want to add to the BS, to the noise. To your point, the difference comes with how you consume and how you create content. But let's start with the consumption part a little bit.
Yeah.
How have you attuned your algorithm to show you the things that you need to see, things that are confidence building, things that are inspiring, things that challenge you? Because sometimes we see things that might induce comparison or that might induce jealousy. Mm-hmm. For me, I've started to integrate that as a challenge. That is something that is challenging me. So how over time have you been able to jiggle your algorithm to show you exactly what it is that you need to see? And how do you create that control?
Yeah, for me, it's unfollowing, straight up. If you are following content, well, okay, let me backtrack. You have to understand the vision that you want for yourself, right? Whatever you're trying to do in life at a large scale, whatever that 5-10 year goal is for yourself, understand that and ingrain that into your brain. You deserve that and you need to go chase that. Now, we all consume social media. We're on social media. So if you're on there for however long you are per day, you need to make sure that that thread is healthy for you and it aligns to the vision and the lifestyle that you want to live for yourself. So when I realized that I knew real estate was going to be my ticket out of working 9 to 5, and it was going to be the ticket for me to retire my mom and dad and to get my family in a better position, I stopped following hip hop artists and different people that were just not aligning to what real estate could do for me in my life. And for me, that meant following more people that were making content about real estate, more people that were posting about interior designing, people that were doing ground up development, construction type deals, and people that were in the real estate field at a successful level, at least from what I could see, and that were putting out content that was speaking on how to get started and how to be successful. So I unfollowed a lot of people and I also followed a lot of people, right? So that's part of my consumption is if you look at my thread right now, the first 5 people you see will definitely be about real estate, or they'll be about building your business, or they'll be about motivation,
right,
or they'll be about anything that revolves around being a successful business owner in real estate.
Right.
So unfollowing, but then making sure you follow people that you can gain value from.
So it sounds like you were intentional about, this is where I'd like to see my life going. I'm not there yet, but these are the habits, the steps, and the routines that I can start to integrate into my life to get myself there. And I think one of the first and sometimes most difficult things to do is eliminating some of those excess energies and influences that don't necessarily make sense for where we want to go.
Yeah.
But it helps with our next point, which is the why. And I think it's the last thing that we'll be discussing today.
Motivating factor for me is that 10, 15, 20-year goal that I have in mind, not just for myself, but for my family, right? My future wife, my future kids, my future grandchildren, and just understanding that the work I'm putting in today, it may not mean shit to me or anybody else around me right now, but sacrificing my time, my enjoyment, my freedom for what I want to see my family achieve in the long run, that's really my why, right? Understanding that my family on this earth deserves more from me. So keeping that in mind every single day that I'm looking at a property, every single day that I target to my 9 to 5 job, and then everything in between, understanding that that 20-year version of me deserves so much sacrifice today, that's what my why is.
Yep.
Motivating factor for me.
I think there's two sides to that too, though. Like understanding what the vision is for yourself and what you want to attain and achieve on earth, but understanding what God has ordained for you, right? If you're faith
Right.
backed, then that's what it should be. So again, for me, your purpose is more than just what I can receive, how much money I can make, how many followers I can gain, but more about how much impact can I provide to people around me. That's why God put us on this earth in our unique shape. How many people can we impact individually and as a collective?
Right.
So having my own intrinsic goals, but also the goals that I know could impact other people as well. So
Right.
kind of twofold.
Thank you for putting it in exactly those terms. We talk about independence of self, but we are an interdependent human species, and to be independent requires the support of other human beings to establish that independence.
Yeah.
I'm not able to live in a house because I don't know how to build a damn house, but other people know how to do that, and so I'm able to be independent in my home with the support of other people who know why they're here on this earth and who have confidently been able to develop that. And that's really where we want all of our students to be, is to be able to know and understand that right now it might not make sense, but there is a higher calling, there is a higher power, and there's a greater reason for why we're here. We might not all be spiritually inclined, but as far as having a greater purpose for self and a greater purpose for helping other people, I think that's always something that we can all connect to and hopefully connect with.
Yep.
That was the last slide, good people. That was the last slide. To connect with Mr. Darnell Jamar, that is his personal email address and Instagram and YouTube.